Uganda agenda. I want to thank you wherever you are. Thank you for watching. I can't forget to thank that is Afande Wambesho Israel, who happens to be, that is the Deputy Police Traffic Commander, Kampala Metropolitan. Thank you for the messages and thank you for watching Good Morning Uganda and everybody that is doing so. Well, at such a time, we are today going to be evaluating the progress of the East African community. We all know that our leaders by then found it very wise, the likes of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the current president of Uganda, Daniel Arap Moi, then of Kenya, and we also had Hassan, who sat and believed that the right direction was for us to join together and have the East African community. Yes, we had once had it and it had failed, but they said now let's have a rebirth of this, better organized and ensure a benefit from the targets of a huge population, because numbers have power in transformation. We've seen this in the United States of America. However, we had about 4 principles that were going to shape this integration. We had the customs union, we had the common markets, we had the monetary union and the political federation. With me in studios is a person who has been at the East African community for some time and a former speaker of the East Africa Legislative Assembly, Honorable Margaret Nantongo Ziwa. You're most welcome to our studios, Honorable.
Thank you very much. Good morning, our viewers. It's an honor for me to interface with you and share some of these aspirations which we do all have and share about the East African community.
Honorable, I have no doubt that numbers are powers in
True.
every situation.
True.
And I want to believe that the forefathers who had this vision of the East African community greatly believed in this.
True.
By trying to begin by analyzing at least these 4 pillars, how fast we have moved, maybe that will help us shape our discussion to know if really we are on the right track, and also maybe if there are weaknesses that we must address as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. True, when the East African community members of the summit, and I'll put it like that, but I would say the presidents of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the president of Kenya then, His Excellency Daniel Arap Moi, the president of the United Republic of Tanzania, His Excellency Benjamin Mkapa, agreed that now it is time that we re-establish the East African community. The treaty for the re-establishment of the East African community was put in place, and this treaty has a lot of aspects which really were thought of as the ingredients which will actually keep the East African community people together with their aspirations and their prospects. And within there, a path was drawn, and I will call it a path. Pillars which will be the cornerstones on which the integration of the peoples of East Africa were earmarked. And these mainly are the customs union. And this was actually established or put in place in 2005, where the main ingredients was free movement of people, rather free movement of goods and services. And that was mainly aimed at establishing East African community, the 3 partner states initially, as one free trading area, making sure that at least goods produced within any of the partner states can actually be traded within the other partner states without any encumbrances, without any exogenous taxes and other non-tariff barriers. The second came in 2010, that is the Common Market Protocol. That actually expanded the customs union, which initially actually also helped a great deal in putting in place mechanisms, things like standards, things like, which would generally help the peoples of East Africa to do trade in a regular, formalized way. The customs union protocol was signed in 2010, and that had mainly 5 elements: the free movement of people, the free movement of goods, the free movement of services, the free movement of capital, the right of establishment. And that meant that any East African, any member within a partner states of East Africa had a right, had an opportunity to go and establish business anywhere within East Africa. And that actually also brought in so many other aspects. You now talk about the what will facilitate, for instance, the people to move freely. For instance, the issue of the national identity cards, which now we actually presumably take for granted. But in Uganda at the time we didn't have them. And it was a commitment at the level of East African community that partner states must have their citizens registered and issued with national identity cards. And those national identity cards must be machine readable, making it a point that in case you travel to any partner state, that partner state can easily see that this is Chirabo, an East African of Ugandan origin. So partner states moved to facilitate the movement of their people. Also many other areas, for instance, of sectors, for instance, sectors of education, for instance, sectors of health, for instance, sectors of trade, general trade, were all aimed at being improved upon. Now, I know for sure that that had even a longer span of implementation.
We shall later dissect later on the common markets.
Yes.
Let's first complete the pillars, the remaining two.
The third pillar is the monetary union, and actually the protocol was signed in 2013, and that actually had even also a longer span of implementation, which would go almost over 2024, where we are going to have a single currency as the ultimate, where the countries of East Africa would have at least one single currency, which will facilitate trade and doing business. And then the last is ultimately political federation, as it's stipulated in Article 5 of the treaty. That ultimateness means that that is the very end or the best situation which we are aiming at, making sure that the countries of East Africa are politically united and politically together, and they will operate as one political unit. At the moment, we have not reached that stage, but the arrangements or the framework to ultimately political federation has been put in place, namely a committee, for instance, to put in place or to propose an East African constitution, because that is a very important ingredient if you have to, or if you must have a political federation. And this one, for instance, in Uganda, Justice Benjamin Odoki is a member of that committee. They are going around to see or to pick the views of East Africans on the many aspects of governance which will be included in the constitution. So, in the constitution of the East Africa, so that we are ultimately politically united. So this is the path, the path which was drawn, that the East African Community partner states will walk in order to be politically united.
Honorable, having discussed these four pillars of this integration, let's look at some of the bottlenecks, because we look at certain things that were agreed upon. For example, when it comes to the free movement of goods, services, and people under the common market. This we did sign around 2010, 20 something there. But till now, we still see this as a challenge. Recently, we have a member state that has closed a border for some time. We've seen goods. One time we had maize and cereals, aflatoxins. Recently we saw Uganda, Kenya, fish. This fish is coming from Kenya, going to the DRC. Then Uganda says, according to us, one, these are premature fish. Second, we believe they could be from our waters. So even just jobs at the East African, that is Secretariat, if you remember, our speaker had to, our minister, therefore East African Affairs, First Deputy Prime Minister, had to write a letter calling for suspension, sharing these small things. Don't you think, Honorable, this could derail the success of the remaining two, or even bring us back to a collapse of the East African community that we had previously?
Thank you very much. I want to say that there should be, or there must be, optimism that this community is going ahead. What the few snags or bottlenecks which we hit here and there are a result of implementation, and I'm happy that wherever people diverge or move away from the prescribed path or prescribed regulations, then another one is always there to remind them. For instance, on the issue of trade, yes, when we signed the Common Market Protocol, it meant that we are free. Countries are free to trade among us themselves without limitations. If a Kenyan, for instance, wishes to come or to trade or bring items to Uganda to trade, he will not be limited or hampered by maybe the borders or maybe taxes, adding extra taxes on him or her. He will be trading like the real Ugandan would be trading in Uganda. That's basically the principle of non-discrimination will actually apply, meaning that a Kenyan will bring goods to Uganda and trade like a Ugandan is trading in Uganda. What now happens, there are also those other regulations. For instance, the regulations about standards. That's why we all have these institutions like the Uganda National Bureau of Standards to ensure that you don't bring substandard goods to bring them to a partner state. Likewise, as Ugandans are actually required to, if you produce anything, to be certified by the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. So because of that, if Kenyans are to trade, the rules which actually pertain to Ugandans will actually also pertain to them. So you must make sure that as you trade within Uganda, you fulfill or you comply with all the rules and regulations which are there for those particular people in that particular sector. Likewise, the Ugandans who want to sell their maize or beans, whatever they are, to Kenya must comply with the rules and regulations which pertain within the Kenya state about their products. If they must be of a certain quality, so even Ugandans must take those quality, those items when they actually satisfy that particular quality. So that is the first rule. Secondly, it's also true that what are the don'ts in this particular respect also apply to any, even if it's from Kenya, it so applies. So if in Uganda you are not allowed or you are not supposed to fish premature fish, it also applies to you. So this issue of fish, I may not be very conversant with what exactly the nitty-gritties of the issue, but if the Uganda authorities confirmed that Kenyans had fish which was premature, then they were in order either to confiscate and actually treat these Kenyans like they treat Ugandans if they have, for instance, gone ahead and fish the premature fish. If it is to be confiscated and banned, let it be. Because that is the rule, that is the principle, that's what we agreed.
There's what we refer to as the spirit of East Africa.
It is there. And
to what extent would that be? Because this, I saw this at the scramble for opportunities at the Secretariat, where one would say, okay, maybe a mistake should have been committed or was committed, but in the spirit of this baby, we should leave this. When we see sometimes a border remaining closed, one would say, yes, they could, but for the spirit of the East African community, Honorable, what should take precedent?
No, I think still this is working within the spirit of East Africa. That's why these rules are there. For instance, the issue of the jobs in at the East African Community Secretariat and in the institutions of the East African community, there are quotas, and we call them quotas because every country would have a share, a fair share of those jobs in the East African community. And the Secretary General is at duty to inform partner states of every opportunity available, but also the quota of that particular partner state. The Right Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Kadaga, the Minister of East African Community, was actually in order to remind the Secretary General that first and foremost, he needs, before any recruitment exercise begins, he needs to remind the partner states how much, what is their quota, what quota does Uganda have at the East African Community, considering the establishment or the positions there and how many Ugandans are there. And these are actually established in according to for instance, on the principle of equity, but also according to our population quota, amongst other issues. So you find that you are supposed, as the Secretary General, to inform Uganda, okay, Uganda, you have an establishment quota of 60 persons. You already have 20 or 30. You have an opportunity of 30. Now, also those are placed in caribas. There are cariba of, like, for instance, we know in Uganda we have U4, U1, U2. So they would be also in the cariba. So in the cariba of U5, for instance, you may have 3 vacancies or 3 opportunities or a quota of 3. So that means that Uganda would come back within its setup. They may decide to advertise within the media. They may do selective advertisement, for instance, within sectors, and say there is this kind of job in East African Community. Can this kind of people with this kind of qualifications apply? So this is guided. Otherwise, if it is left without maybe guiding, you find that maybe East African Community will be, dominated by maybe a certain partner state, other than the expense of others, and they will not feel that they actually are benefiting or participating or equally treated in an organized, in an institution or an organization where there is equi treatment, where there must be equi treatment. So this arrangement is in order, and it's actually just a way of reminding whoever is holding an office or office bearer that this is what the rules say. And that is in order.
Well, let me first remind our viewers that you can be part of this show this morning by simply going to your phone or whatever source you have of the internet, where you can communicate to us on our WhatsApp number, which is 0709 60 2592. You can send an SMS as well, and we'll be reading it out, and our guests will be responding to that. Or you can go on our other social media platforms. On Twitter, we are there. Send us a message and we'll be reading them out as we discuss and evaluate the progress of the East African Community, where we believe that united we stand, united we shall prosper in terms of financial strength and also other aspects. Many people talk about the United States of America, but they walked the journey that we are walking now and successfully became what they are today. Can East Africa do it? Are we on the right track? This is what we are trying to dissect. Honorable Nantongo, let's also look at the free movement of people. Yes, goods have had challenges, but also free movement of people. Recently, we saw the East African Students Association being formed, where they looked at issues like you're treated as an international student in the East African community, so you have to pay higher fees because you're not party to that country. And this also still befits this very purpose. Among these, we have countries where with your national identity card, you can cross over. Some within East Africa have to pay visa fee. So even before you go to monetary, we go to political, these small issues seem to be a standing block in the achievement of this meaningful union.
Thank you. I want also to bring forth the fact that yes, we are still independent states with our sovereign rights. In fact, what this whole arrangement means is we start ceding some of our sovereignty to the community or to the governance at the regional level. But most of the powers is still within the partner states. That's why you find that you've been talking about the issue of the closing of the border between Uganda and Rwanda. It's unfortunate, but still a partner state has the right at the point, if it feels threatened, or if it feels this threat may be political, but it may also be, for instance, medical, health. For instance, if you perceive that there is an issue of health in a partner state, you will not just say, let people run to your country. You are duty bound to make sure that you sort of like put restrictions to people from, for instance, the COVID aspect, which we have been having, which is still a challenge. You find that some partner states may restrict other people from partner states, knowing very well that, for instance, if the prevalence is higher, they may have to prove a little further that they actually are not in danger or taking that sickness or that problem to their partner state. But also, if it is a political issue, it can, a partner state may say, let my border be closed. It can. But what is, I think what is a prerequisite is that continuously we must have opportunities or channels of dialogue.
Where does the East African community come in now? We have the Yala, or the authorities here. What capacity, what strength, what extent can they reign over?
This is why I'm saying that the respective organs within the partner states have the duty to encourage, to facilitate dialogue, to bring out these challenges. Why, for instance, is the border between Uganda and Rwanda closed for over, for instance, 5 months? What is the issue? Let this issue be brought at the table and let it be discussed. These organs are responsible for that aspect. They have a duty, they have a responsibility to handle that challenge. For instance, you've been talking about the East African community students, East African community, is the students within the East African community establishing an association. Yes, that is a very good venture, and I will encourage it, and I would say that it is already within the envisaged arrangement, because, for instance, traders, for instance, doctors, for instance, accountants, they all have these associations. And specifically, we do have specific institutions to handle specific areas within of integration. For instance, the Inter-University Council of East Africa is an institution of the East African community, which is handling matters regarding education, particularly higher education institutions of higher institutions of learning, universities, by looking at, for instance, the modules, the courses. For instance, the course of law in Makerere University, is it the same as the course of law in the University of Dar es Salaam? Or architecture in the University of Nairobi, is it the same as the architecture in the University of Makerere, and vice versa? So the Inter-University Council of East Africa is responsible for bringing together the respective universities and making sure that they have a harmonized and standardized levels of education and teaching, so that if, for instance, a student graduates at Makerere University, but is seeking to get a job, for instance, at Kenya Ports Authority, and he presents his credentials, there will be confidence in the recruiting authority that this degree of Makerere University architecture or whatever it is equivalent to that degree of architecture of the University of Nairobi. So there will not be doubt. So
well, let me just again remind our viewers that you can be part of the topic of discussion. Simply send us a WhatsApp message on the number on your screen. That is a 0709 60 25 92. And I'll be reading out your messages like Danny Moses from SETA. Thank you for the message. We'll be discussing it. Honorable will be replying to that. Please keep the messages coming in as we continue to evaluate the progress of the East African community. Now, Honorable Margaret, we find also more inclusion of the East African community member states. First it was the 3, and by then we had East African Standard Time. With the coming in of Rwanda, if today you mentioned East African Standard Time, you would greatly be wrong, my friend. It ceased to be. We are admitting South Sudan, we are admitting more countries are coming in. The DRC, even at one time we had Ethiopia, so maybe having interest in this. So what does this mean to admission of more members? Yet even we still have some challenges in terms of ensuring that we straighten the path of meaningful integration.
First and foremost, I want to say that that is allowed. That is in order within the treaty under Article number 3. A country which has the opportunity to be a neighbor of a partner state of East Africa and wishes to share in the prospects of the development of East Africa can apply. That is within the principles and within the rules and within the treaty. So DRC, by the fact that it is a neighbor to Uganda and Tanzania and Rwanda, it can and Burundi, it can actually be a member of the East African community. Likewise South Sudan, likewise Somalia, among us others. Now, that aspect, you come in at the point of as is. I think I want to emphasize it. Some people may say, okay, for instance, South Sudan came in when already the customs union had already been signed, when the common market had been signed. Now, how will it match or fit within the common market, or rather within the East African community? When you come in, the East African Community Secretariat takes the responsibility to come and prepare you. Prepare the institutions, prepare the organs, prepare the responsible officials within the government to make sure they put in place mechanisms and systems which will help them to fit in or to join the community satisfactorily. So you find that, for instance, if the systems of governance, parliament, the police, the army, is not maybe to the tune, the East African community will work with the partner state to make sure that, for instance, there is training. For instance, there is the parliament follows a specific system. If, for instance, the trade regime, they don't have, for instance, the tax bodies, all this, the East African Community Secretariat is mandated to prepare to help the partner state to organize itself in order to fit. When it comes in, it starts enjoying the prospects of the East African community at the stage, enjoying the customs union, enjoying the common market prospects, among us others. And now, as we go into the monetary union, it will also enjoy the monetary union as if it was there at the beginning of the formation of the rebirth of the East African community. So that in itself is not a limitation. It is a prospect, it is an advantage, because today we are talking about almost 178 million people. That's a very, very big market.
Well, let me go to some of the questions from our viewers. Sulaiman from Yumbe: I strongly agree with East Africa Federation and even Africa. My problem is we are moving too slowly.
Too slowly.
Okay, that was an SMS. Let me now look at, here we have, good morning, well done for the good work. Well, you didn't leave your name. And then we have GMU, this is Oneng PRO Bank of Lila City. Nowadays, the East Africa isn't united, leading to incorporation like the closure of borders. Well, for him, he's looking at it that way. Still, we have a message. Please not call on this line. Good morning, moderator and Honorable Nantongo. Thank you for bringing the issue of East African community. I am Danny Moses from SETA. What is the vision of the East African Community 2040 agenda?
Okay.
He's asking a question there. Then I am Rukundo Michael from Kabale. Question: why has trade in East Africa almost failed as we see blocks on products, e.g. maize supply, and is there any hope for opening of Uganda-Rwanda border? Those are some of the messages. Keep them coming in, but let's first respond to those.
I think I should start with the last. There is hope that the Uganda-Rwanda border will open. Dialogue, discussion, we call them diplomatic dialogues. They may be at diplomatic duo. The two countries, Uganda and Rwanda, can engage, but it can also be at the East African level. Partner states, other partner states can come in to assist Uganda and assist Rwanda to understand each other. What I need to maybe emphasize is that this happens even if I want us to treat each other as your brothers. And normally, to make it a little bit more understandable, you look at yourself with your brother around the age of 8, 10. You know, when you have a brother, either you follow, he follows you. Sometimes you actually get these little skirmishes. You know, he has taken my jacket. Yeah, he has done this. Yes, you know, and at times but that will not make you cease to be brothers. And at times you can work it out amongst yourselves. But other times maybe your parent can come in to say, no, you are a bigger brother, leave the other one. No, let this. So I want us to look at it from that perspective. Uganda and Rwanda may have some issues which are not very pleasant among us themselves, and maybe to the extreme that one may say, I'll close the border. It is within their sovereign right, but I think it may not be the best. It's against the spirit of the East African community. So the East African community leadership, the chair of the summit, the chair of the council will start, the council of ministers will start taking on various steps to make sure that they will really look at the nitty-gritties, what exactly is, and bring dialogue, bring discussion, so that we shall be able to achieve.
Well, Oneg talks about the slow pace.
Yes, I would agree that yes, in some instances there is a lot of slow pace, but I don't also want to say that it is 100% true. You'll appreciate that at I think in 2012, the East African Community Summit established or put in place the WACO, we call it the WACO.
This is Justice WACO.
Justice WACO Committee,
yes.
To consult the peoples of East Africa about the fast trackness. Can we go faster? And truly, some East African partner states, because that was about a model. Which model should we adopt? Should we first integrate, and then we should be able to do the other businesses after we've integrated? Or let's first integrate these other units or small areas of trade, areas of education, areas of health. Then we should be able to, you know, together put the East African community. So many East Africans were saying, yes, we can actually start by integrating the whole of East Africa, and then we shall be able to integrate the respective sectors. But a section said, no, let us go step by step, block by block. It will be more united, it will be a stronger foundation than if we just jump into having the whole integrated, but when we have not integrated the blocks. So Justice Wako's report actually came through by recommending, let's go block by block. So he is concerned that the pace is not that fast. But I would tell you that even if there is one issue which has not been handled, we will not go ahead until it has really been handled to the satisfaction of everybody. We cannot say, let those go hang. Let me use that light language.
Honorable, in the interest of time, sorry to cut you short, let's have our final question from our viewers, which happens to be from Dr. Namara Naboth from Barara, who says, ask Honorable Nantongo Ziwa, what percentage of the East African Protocol has been achieved, and vice versa, as percentage set implementation plan for the protocol? And we'll be ending with that.
Of course, there was the Vision 2040, and I would say that that most of the visions within the partner states have been integrated within the East African Community Vision 2040. But most of it is helping East Africans to reach what we call a middle income status, being able to improve their livelihood through trade, through education, through better health. That is the Vision 2020 and 2040, and making East African Community an industrialized state. East African become more industrialized than maybe how it was, maybe how it would have been prior to the 2040. Now, I cannot quote figure today because I did not really update myself, but I can tell you that of course the East African Community Common Customs Union has been almost 70% implemented. We do have goods and services. At times you have hitches here and there. I can talk about the Customs Union also fully implemented in the terms of free movement of people. People actually move. Free movement of goods, free movement of services, free movement of labor. In some instances, we have areas where, for instance, when you go to a partner state, you're supposed to pay to get a work permit and pay. But in others, there is a bilateral where, for instance, in Uganda, if you are Ugandan and you go to work in Kenya, or Kenyan coming to work in Uganda will not require a work permit, and vice versa. But you will also appreciate that there are some areas which are still limited. You know, banks, for instance, movement of capital, banks have been established in various in respective partner states. Equity Bank, the Bank of Africa, Bank of KCB, among us others. So you find that all these are within the protocol of the Customs Union and Common Market. But we still have areas which are still challenging. As we move into the monetary union, we are still looking at how far have the framework and the legal mechanisms establishing the central bank institute, the institute of the central bank, to make sure that we are able to start merging or bringing together the East African Community currencies to be able to have one single currency. We have not reached there. The clock is ticking. This is 2021. 2024 we are envisaged to have. We are to have gotten the single currency. So I can't put a figure to 50% or
but
60%, but we are in a positive direction.
Well, Honorable Margaret Nantongo Ziwa, I want to thank you so much for having found time. It was really very informative as we've been looking at the progress of the East African Community. I want to thank everybody who has sent in their messages. Rose, thank you for appreciating. You said you're enjoying the program. Also, brothers, that is Emma Mugole from Cairo District, and many others. Thank you for keeping the messages coming in. Milton from Kweni District, Ward, Jonathan Mwesigwa, Rukundo Michael, and many others. Really appreciate your feedback on this show. Allow me to leave you with Ruben Pima Kasera Chibirango. Let's have the East African spirit and ensure we push this baby to greater levels, because there are enormous benefits in both, actually all aspects of life. There are indeed numerous number of benefits. Go for your jab, get vaccinated, and perfect the stops. Also be on alert. Let's not give room to terrorism because of laxity. Have a lovely day. God bless you.